thanks to our friends at the Menzies Research Centre, I have here in front of me a list of grants for which your taxpayer dollar has been spent. I'm sure you'll be pleased and elated with most of these. What have we here? A grant to the Sachs Institute. Sorry, not that kind of Sachs. This was for decolonising breastfeeding. Yes, it says here it was for decolonising lactation care to support the initiation and maintenance of breastfeeding amongst First Nations women. Now, what do you reckon that cost? I'm going to phone a friend. Dr. Evil?
$1 million.
$1,071,249.31 to be precise. What else is there? $900,000 to the University of Adelaide for an anti-racist dentistry curriculum. No more black fillings, I suppose. Another one, policing popular music, $411,000 to the University of Sydney for the first comprehensive study of the relationship between policing and popular music in Australia. All right, how about this one? Subverting racist tea towels. There's this woman in Melbourne, Kate James is her name. She was in The Age 2 years ago talking about this, and she gets racist tea towels and stitches other things over the top of them. $317,551.30 from the government. Thank you very much. What else was there? 18 grand, perhaps, for a drag show for scientists as part of national science.
That's a bargain,
It was
comparatively.
21 projects all up that the Menzies Research Centre found were a waste. I mean, to think, Caroline, there's someone in a government department somewhere sitting there who goes, yes, we need to decolonise breastfeeding, we need to teach dentists how not to be racist, and, you know, I mean, most importantly...
They are an awful
terrible group of people, aren't they? And most importantly, we must give money to people who stitch over the top of racist tea towels. I didn't know there were that many racist tea towels in the world.
What is a racist tea towel?
I don't know. Well, supposedly this woman came across a tea towel in a souvenir shop or something, and it had what she thought was a racist depiction of Aboriginal people. Now, I don't know whether she spent that money on buying a job lot of them so she could stitch over the top of them. But what are we doing spending money on this stuff for?
Decolonise the tea towels.
Exactly.
I don't know. I don't know why it costs $1 million to tell people boob is best. It's something you're pretty much told in hospital by the midwives, and you know, I don't get it. It just seems to me it's not a huge surprise whenever we see what the government is throwing, and government departments in particular are throwing money at, that as soon as you include, if you're looking for a grant, words like decolonisation, anti-racism, misogyny, any sort of woke buzzword you can think of, any sort of virtue signalling catchphrase, they just throw money at you faster than a single bloke in a strip club. It's just what they are here for.
And we also have to decolonise strip clubs, which is what Lydia Thorpe was doing.
Married blokes would throw money faster in the strip club, to be perfectly honest. But what can we do to get a grant, Joe? I mean, it must be.
Well, this is the thing. It's not the government saying, right, what do we need? Oh, we need to decolonise lactation care. Let's get $1 million and find someone to do it. The problem is that all this is happening almost sort of organically on university campuses, but it's ideologically driven, of course, and so it feeds itself. And it's also part of a program called, believe it or not, decolonising the curriculum. So there's this active push on to sort of like, you know, invert all the existing sort of norms, the hegemonies, the patriarchal paradigms, the imperialist.
You've written a few of these.
Absolutely. They write themselves though. You just take a whole bunch of words and you just sort of chuck them in a mulcher and that spit them all out. And all of this stuff is almost like a sort of second language to the stuff that it's way worse than when I was at uni, but you can still see it. And so all these grants come up, and there would have been hundreds of millions of dollars in other grants that were perfectly normal, like, you know, finding out, you know, how we can build more efficient structural engineering or whatever. But these ones always just slip through because that's what's happening. That's what's happening on the campus. And it is just absolutely bonkers. And it's something, and the left don't understand, I think, how easy it makes, and these are people obviously usually on the sort of loony, greeny left, but how how incredibly easy it makes it for the right to just destroy, as we are going to do very cheerfully here tonight, but just destroy like the entire thing that they like. It makes them look so ridiculously stupid.
But they don't know that
they don't
it
even
makes
know
them look
that they're
ridiculous.
looking
And that's the
ridiculously
best
stupid.
part about it. And it is funny to a degree, Evelyn. We're having a laugh about it. How ridiculous is all this? Ha ha ha. But it is actually our money being spent on this ridiculousness.
Oh, absolutely. Let's actually consider for a moment what's actually happening here. You have families, you have men and women who are working their butts off now just to make ends meet, just to, provide a roof over their head for their families. And what we're essentially doing is taking money from them and diverting it to these social justice causes. So people are working hard, taking them, if they don't give their money over to the government, they are put in prison essentially, right? Because that's what, so they are forcibly having this money taken from them and then funneled in these ridiculous social justice causes. I've always said this, it is so easy to spend other people's money, and our government for far too long have lived off the acknowledgement of that. I mean, if you are a McDonald's worker and you're tasked to make a hamburger and you fail, you're sacked. Our government are tasked to create a functioning, prosperous nation, and they have failed, yet they do it time and time again, and we fund their failures because we continue to give them jobs. I say we sack these people. I say that we get that Doge in here. We clean up our tax-funded money once and for all, and we give families back their hard-earned money, because at the end of the day, the only reason these things still have breath and life in them is because they're funded by the taxpayer. If they had to be funded privately, I guarantee you the everyday Australian would not throw money at it. It is forced upon us.
If there's someone out there who wants to put up their own money
by all means,
on decolonising breastfeeding,
go for it.
I've got a bridge to send you, and I'll put the course together myself. But Kel, the government was asked about this, and they said, well, this is a decision for the individual departments to make. This is not an edict that comes down from Albanese, whatever, I get that. But surely that means there should be more oversight over the departments. I mean, if we're trusting the bureaucrats to make these decisions, and these are decisions they are making, they ought to be called into line.
They should be. Two possible solutions. One is, these are granting bodies. There are bodies that are given the power to issue grants. Some of them are arts bodies, some of them are science bodies, cultural bodies, and they're given a budget, and they're allowed to. Now, one possibility was you just shut down every grant. You just don't do government grants. You say to everyone, if you can't raise the money, you can't do it. You've got a really good idea for a better ball bearing? OK, go and find the money and you can do the work. You've got an idea for a show you want to put on? Well, that's terrific. If you pull an audience and you can collect money at the door, you can do it. We could just stop it. We could stop it overnight.
That would
be a
crash the
terrific.
economy.
There's a second. If that's too radical for Joe, because Joe doesn't like me being radical, do you, Joe?
No, you just destroy all innovation in the entire country.
Of course.
Yep.
That was my plan. That was my intention. The other possibility is we get about 5 or 6 mini Musks. Now, Elon is busy. He's got stuff on his hands. He's very tied up. But these mini Musks, 19-year-olds with brains the size of a planet, who are IT wizards, who are great at tracking down this stuff and just turning off the tap and stopping it happening. I mean, there's got to be a fairly simple correctional system that you could put in. You could create within the Federal Auditing Department the desk of common sense.
Yeah, well, you've just got to run
Their job is just to run the ruler.
You've got to run the ruler over it, right?
Well, you could just have a tosser alert, though. Like, as soon as, a few keywords, AI could do it. As soon as the word decolonising appears, it just sends off a little, something goes up the tube in the department and the DG opens it, and there's a little red bat phone that starts to blink. So, not that one. Thanks. Continue the ball-bearing research.
You are the weakest link. Goodbye.